Welcome, Seekers of the Shadows, to Terror Tales TV. My name is Callum. I am your guide into the darkness, and tonight our journey takes us high into the cold, thin air of the Rocky Mountains. Here, nestled in the serene beauty of Estes Park, Colorado, stands a monument of Edwardian opulence, a grand dame of American hotels. From a distance, it is a vision in white against a backdrop of majestic peaks. A postcard of idyllic luxury. But as we draw closer, as the sun dips below the horizon and the mountain shadows lengthen like skeletal fingers, another truth emerges. For this is a place where the past is not dead, it is not even past. This is a place where elegance and terror are permanent residents, sharing the same grand corridors. Tonight, we check into a place that inspired the master of modern horror, a hotel with more than just a 5-star rating. It has a body count of spirits who have never checked out. This is the story of the Stanley Hotel. Part 1. The Majestic Deception. To understand the haunting, you must first understand the hotel itself. The Stanley is not some decrepit, forgotten ruin. It is a living, breathing, immaculate structure. Its brilliant white facade and iconic red roof command the valley. You can almost hear the faint echoes of its glamorous past, the swish of ball gowns, the clinking of champagne glasses, the polite laughter of the early 20th century elite. It was built as a sanctuary, a health resort for the wealthy to escape the grime of the industrial age and breathe in the pure, curative mountain air. But the pristine paint and polished brass hide a deep-seated chill that has nothing to do with the Colorado winters. It's a feeling that creeps up on you. It starts in the lobby, a cavernous space of dark wood and timeless grandeur. You look up at the ornate staircase, and for a fleeting moment you think you see a flicker of movement on the landing above. You dismiss it. A trick of the light. You walk the long, impossibly long corridors, the plush carpet muffling your footsteps, creating an unnerving silence. The silence is the first thing that gets to you. It feels heavy, expectant. The portraits on the walls seem to watch you pass, their painted eyes following your every move. You feel a sudden draft where there is no open window, the scent of a phantom cigar, or a faint whisper of rose perfume hangs in the air for a moment before vanishing. This is the Stanley's deception. It lures you in with its beauty, its history, its charm. It makes you feel safe, pampered. It waits until your guard is down, until the dead of night, when the only sounds are the wind whistling through the eaves and the frantic beating of your own heart. Then, and only then, does it reveal its true nature. It reminds you that you are not just a guest here. You are a temporary visitor in a place that belongs to the dead, and they are always watching. Part 2. A dream built on fragile lungs. Every ghost story has an origin, a patient zero. The story of the Stanley's haunting begins not with a death, but with a desperate fight for life. Our story begins with a man of science, a man of logic and invention, Freelan Oscar Stanley. Alongside his twin brother, Francis Edgar, F.O. Stanley was a titan of American industry. F.O. Stanley was a man who believed in mechanics, in physics, in tangible, explainable things. He was the last person you would expect to be the proprietor of America's most haunted hotel. But fate had other plans. In 1903, at the age of 54, this brilliant inventor was handed a death sentence. He was diagnosed with consumption, what we now call tuberculosis. In the early 20th century, this diagnosis was devastating. The air in the smog-filled cities of the East Coast was poison to his failing lungs. His doctors gave him 6 months, maybe a year, to live. Their only advice, their last-ditch prescription, was to seek the sun cure, to find a place with high, dry, cold air and abundant sunlight. It was a desperate gamble, So F.O. Stanley, a man of logic facing an illogical disease, traveled west with his beloved wife, Flora. They arrived in the rugged, untamed wilderness of Estes Park. It was a world away from the sophisticated society of Newton, Massachusetts. Here, the mountains clawed at the sky, and the silence of the wilderness was absolute. He was a frail, dying man in a powerful, life-giving landscape. And then a miracle happened. Against all odds, the mountain air began to heal him. His cough subsided, his strength returned. Within a single season, the man who had been given a death sentence felt reborn. F.O. Stanley had fallen in love with Estes Park, but he found the local accommodations lacking. The rustic, rough-hewn lodges were not suited for a man of his stature, nor for the high society friends he wished to entertain. F.O. Stanley wasn't a man who accepted mediocrity. If a suitable hotel didn't exist, he would simply build one. And not just any hotel. He would build a palace in the wilderness, a beacon of modernity and luxury that would rival the finest resorts of the East Coast and Europe. Construction began in 1907. It was a monumental undertaking. The entire hotel was crafted from timber harvested from the surrounding forests, milled on site. It was to be a technological marvel. While the rest of Estes Park was largely off the grid, Stanley built his own hydroelectric power plant, making his hotel the first in the region to be fully electric. It had telephones in every room, ensuite bathrooms, a steam laundry, and even a fleet of custom-built mountain-ready Stanley steamers to ferry guests from the nearest train station. This grand hotel was more than just a business venture. It was a testament to Stanley's victory over death. He had stared into the abyss and survived, and this magnificent structure was his monument to life, to modernity, and to the power of the human will. He poured his soul, his fortune, and his meticulous, inventive mind into every detail. But perhaps in his quest to build a modern utopia, he overlooked the ancient energies of the land itself. The valley had long been sacred to the Ute and Arapaho tribes. They knew it as a place of spiritual power, a place where the veil between worlds was thin. Did Stanley, a man of science and progress, disturb something ancient and profound by blasting foundations into this hallowed ground? Did he, in building his monument to life, unwittingly create a doorway for the dead? He and his wife, Flora, intended to create a summer paradise. What they created instead was a timeless, elegant, and inescapable trap for souls. Part 3. The Gathering Shadows. The hotel opened its doors in 1909 to rave reviews. It was everything Stanley had envisioned. But it wasn't long before the staff began to whisper. Stories of strange noises in empty rooms, of doors unlocking themselves, of an unseen presence that seemed to walk the halls alongside the living. The shadows in the Stanley were beginning to gather, and they were beginning to take shape. Room 217. The chamber of the caretaker. Of all the haunted rooms in this vast hotel, none is more famous or more infamous than room 217. Its legend is inextricably linked to one woman, Mrs. Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's head housekeeper in its early years. She was, by all accounts, a dedicated, proper, and hard-working woman, fiercely loyal to the hotel. Her story takes a dramatic turn on a stormy night in June of 1911. A ferocious thunderstorm descended upon Estes Park, knocking out the hotel's newfangled electricity. The hotel was forced to rely on its backup acetylene gas lighting system. As the head housekeeper, it was Mrs. Wilson's duty to ensure every lantern was lit. She made her way to room 217, one of the premier suites. Unbeknownst to her, gas had been leaking into the room, filling the space with an invisible explosive vapor. When she struck a match, the resulting explosion was catastrophic. The blast tore through the room, ripping up the floorboards and sending Mrs. Wilson crashing down into the dining room, the McGregor room, directly below. The force was so immense that guests in the dining room were showered with debris. Miraculously, Elizabeth Wilson was not killed. She survived with 2 broken ankles and other injuries, but her life was spared. She eventually recovered and, in a testament to her dedication, returned to her job at the Stanley, working there until her death years later. But according to the legend, her spirit never clocked out. Her sense of duty, her pride in her work, was so strong that it transcended death itself. Her ghost remains in room 217, continuing her duties as the eternal housekeeper. Her presence is not considered malevolent, but rather particular. Guests who stay in room 217 have reported a host of bizarre phenomena. Luggage is mysteriously unpacked and put away. Clothes left strewn about are found neatly folded and placed in the drawers. Lights turn on and off by themselves, but her ghostly housekeeping can take a more personal and more unsettling turn. Unmarried couples who have stayed in the room have reported feeling a cold, unseen force wedge itself between them in the bed during the night, a spectral chaperone enforcing old-fashioned morality. Others have woken up to find their blankets neatly tucked around them, even when they went to sleep with the covers thrown off. It's as if Mrs. Wilson is still there, making her nightly rounds, ensuring the guests are comfortable and the room is kept to her exacting standards. One of the most famous occupants of room 217, actor Jim Carrey, stayed there while filming Dumb and Dumber. He reportedly checked into the room but fled in the middle of the night, refusing to ever speak about what he experienced. He simply left the hotel, leaving his belongings behind, and would not return. What could terrify a man known for his fearless comedy into abandoning a luxury suite in the dead of night? Mrs. Wilson, it seems, takes her job very, very seriously. The proprietor's eternal vigil, it's not just the staff who linger. The creators themselves, F.O. and Flora Stanley, are said to be the hotel's most prominent spectral residents. It was their passion project, their triumph, and it seems they cannot bear to leave it. F.O. Stanley, the man of science, has ironically become a subject of supernatural study. His full-bodied apparition is frequently seen dressed in his formal attire, overseeing the operations of his hotel. The staff at the front desk and in the lobby have reported seeing a distinguished figure standing near the reception area, who then simply vanishes into thin air. He is most often sighted in the billiards room, one of his favorite haunts in life. Guests and staff have smelled the distinct aroma of his cherry pipe tobacco in the room, even though smoking has been banned for decades. A shadowy figure is often seen reflected in the glass of the windows, watching over the room. He doesn't interact, he simply watches, the eternal proprietor making sure his hotel is running smoothly. His wife, Flora, was a cultured and talented woman, a gifted pianist. Her beloved Steinway grand piano, a gift from her husband, still sits in the hotel's music room. And on quiet nights, when the hotel is still, the faint, ethereal notes of a piano can be heard drifting from the room. Staff members, hearing the music, will go to investigate, only to find the music room empty, the piano silent, its keys still. Sometimes the keys are seen depressing on their own, played by unseen hands. Investigators have left recorders in the room overnight and have captured the phantom melodies. Flora's presence is gentle, a melancholic echo of the life and art she brought to this grand hotel. Often her music is accompanied by the faint, sweet scent of roses, her favorite flower, a ghostly calling card from the hotel's first lady. The playground on the 4th floor. If the main floors belong to the Stanleys and their staff, the 4th floor belongs to the children. In the hotel's early days, the 4th floor served as the servants' quarters and a space for guests with children and nannies. The energy here is distinctly different, more chaotic, mischievous, and at times deeply unsettling. Guests and staff alike report the sounds of children running up and down the long hallway, their phantom footsteps echoing when the corridor is visibly empty. The disembodied sounds of laughter, giggling, and bouncing balls are a common occurrence, often heard late at night when all the living children are fast asleep. People report feeling a small hand tug on their shirt, only to turn and find no one there. While these ghostly children are mostly playful, some rooms on the fourth floor have a darker reputation. Room 401 is infamous for its closet ghost. Guests staying in this room have reported their belongings being moved, hearing strange whispers, and seeing the closet door slowly creak open on its own. A dark, looming male figure is said to reside within the closet, and many people feel an overwhelming sense of dread and the distinct sensation of being watched from the shadows within. The identity of this spirit is unknown. Some speculate he was a past guest with a dark secret. Others a handyman who died in the hotel. Room 428 is another hot spot. Guests have reported waking up to the startling sight of a tall, lanky figure in a cowboy hat standing at the foot of their bed, watching them sleep. He never speaks or moves, simply observing, before fading away as suddenly as he appeared. A young, up-and-coming horror writer named Stephen King and his wife, Tabitha, were on a road trip through Colorado. On a whim, they decided to spend a night at the historic Stanley Hotel. It was late September, the very end of the season. They arrived to find the Grand Hotel almost completely deserted. They were, in fact, the only registered guests for the night. After dinner, King wandered to the hotel bar. He was served a drink by a bartender named Grady. They were the only two people there. The long, empty corridors, the profound silence, and the palpable weight of the hotel's history began to work on King's imagination. They were given the keys to room 217. That night, Stephen King had a nightmare. It was a dream so vivid, so utterly terrifying, that it would change his life and the fate of the hotel. In the dream, his young son was running in terror down the long, empty corridors of the hotel, screaming. Behind him, a possessed fire hose was chasing him, writhing and twisting like a demonic serpent. King said he woke up with a tremendous jerk, drenched in sweat on the verge of falling out of bed. His heart was pounding. He got up, lit a cigarette, and went out onto the balcony, looking out at the dark, imposing shapes of the Rocky Mountains. And in that moment, shivering in the cold night air, the entire story of The Shining laid itself out in his mind. The Stanley Hotel became the Overlook Hotel. The long, empty hallways, the phantom bartender, the isolation, the feeling of a building that was alive and malevolent. It all came from that one night. The terrifying room 217 of the Stanley became the even more dreaded room 237 in his novel. While the movie adaptation of The Shining wasn't filmed at the Stanley Hotel, the hotel's influence on the novel is undeniable, cementing its place in popular culture as a truly haunted location. When Stephen King produced a television miniseries of The Shining in 1997, he insisted it be filmed on location, at the one place that could do it justice, the Stanley Hotel itself, bringing the nightmare full circle, back to the place where it was born. The hauntings are not confined to the main hotel building. The entire property seems to be a canvas for the supernatural. Just next to the main hotel stands the concert hall, a magnificent gift from F.O. to his music-loving wife, Flora. It is a place of beauty and acoustics, but also of profound paranormal activity. Its most famous ghost is a man named Paul. Paul was a former handyman and caretaker who lived in the basement of the concert hall. In life, he was strict about enforcing the 11 p.m. curfew. It seems his dedication to the rules has followed him into the afterlife. Paranormal investigators and late-night staff exploring the hall have reported hearing a disembodied voice gruffly telling them to get out. They feel sudden cold spots and have even reported being physically pushed by an unseen force, as if Paul is still on patrol, clearing the hall after hours. Another more interactive spirit, known as Lucy, is also said to haunt the concert hall. It's believed she was a young runaway or transient who hid in the building and may have died there. Unlike the other spirits, Lucy seems to actively communicate with ghost hunters, often through devices like spirit boxes, her fleeting electronic voice answering their questions from the static. Beneath the hotel lies a network of service tunnels, a dark, damp, and claustrophobic maze that connects the various buildings. Staff have long reported feeling uneasy in these tunnels, seeing shadowy figures darting just at the edge of their vision, and hearing footsteps that seem to follow them through the darkness. The ghost of a gray cat is also frequently spotted here, rubbing against people's legs before vanishing. But perhaps the most significant paranormal feature of the entire hotel is the grand staircase in the main lobby. This area is believed by many investigators to be a spiritual vortex, a swirling nexus of paranormal energy that acts as a highway for the spirits moving through the hotel. It is the most common place for guests to capture photographic anomalies, orbs, streaks of light, and strange mists. People standing on or near the staircase often report feeling dizzy, nauseous, or suddenly overwhelmed with emotion. In the modern age, the Stanley Hotel has become a top destination for paranormal investigators, both professional and amateur. It has been featured on countless television shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, with each team leaving with their own compelling evidence. The Stanley fully embraces this reputation, offering nightly ghost tours and public paranormal investigations. Guests can arm themselves with EMF meters, spirit boxes, and thermal cameras, and walk the haunted halls in search of proof. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, are common. Recorders left in empty rooms have captured clear, disembodied voices. On the fourth floor, the distinct question, "Where are you going?" was captured, as was the faint sound of a child whispering, "I'm scared." In the concert hall, a clear "get out" has been recorded numerous times. Thermal cameras have captured human-shaped figures that register as ice cold, standing in hallways before fading away. Full-bodied apparitions have been caught on camera, including a famous photo of a ghostly woman in period dress standing at the top of the grand staircase, where no living person was present. Doors slam shut, objects are thrown by unseen hands, and lights flicker in response to questions. All documented, all scrutinized, and much of it unexplainable. Of course, there is skepticism. Old buildings creak. The high altitude can play tricks on the mind. The power of suggestion, especially in a place so famous for being haunted, is incredibly strong. But how do you explain a suitcase that unpacks itself? A piano that plays with no one at the keys? A clear voice on a recording in an empty room? How do you explain the overwhelming shared experience of terror, sadness, and wonder felt by thousands of guests over more than a century? At the Stanley, the line between suggestion and genuine supernatural experience becomes impossibly, terrifyingly blurred. So what is it about this place? Is it the massive deposit of quartz and limestone beneath its foundations? Minerals that some theorists believe can store and replay psychic energy like a natural recording device? Is it the spirit of F.O. Stanley himself, a man who cheated death and whose powerful will simply refuses to leave his creation? Is it the concentrated energy of a century of life, love, tragedy, and art, all echoing within its walls? Or was Stephen King right? Is the hotel itself a living, conscious entity, a predator that feeds on the energy of its guests, a place that was simply born bad? The truth remains as elusive as the apparitions that glide through its corridors. The Stanley Hotel stands as a beautiful, terrifying paradox. It is a place of history and a place of horror, a luxury resort and a permanent residence for the dead. It continues to welcome guests from all over the world. They come for the views, for the history, for the luxury. But many come for something more. They come seeking a thrill. It continues to welcome guests from all over the world. They come for the views, for the history, for the luxury. But many come for something more. They come seeking a thrill. Would you have the courage to stay in room 217, knowing that the diligent Mrs. Wilson might just decide to tuck you in? Would you walk the 4th floor, listening for the phantom laughter of children in the dark? The Stanley Hotel is waiting. Its doors are open. The spirits are stirring. And they are always, always looking for new guests to play with. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the terrifying and the timeless. If you survived this tale, be sure to haunt our like and subscribe buttons for more journeys into the dark. Until next time on Terror Tales TV, sleep well if you can. Welcome, brave souls, to Terror Tales TV. Tonight, we unlock a nightmare. A labyrinth built by fear itself. This is the Winchester Mystery House. Our story begins with a fortune. And a deadly legacy. Sarah Winchester, haunted by grief. A Boston medium delivered a chilling truth. She was cursed by the Winchester rifle. Thousands of vengeful spirits. They sought her retribution. The only escape, endless building. For 38 years, the hammer never stopped. 24 hours a day. Staircases to nowhere, doors to despair, hallways to oblivion, a labyrinth for the dead, her desperate, terrifying genius. Every midnight, a chilling ritual. The bell tolled 13 times, summoning her spectral council in her private seance room. Through a secret peephole, the spirits whispered their demands. More construction. Never stop. The number 13. Her obsession, her terror, built into every stone. To appease, to confuse, a maddening game of life and death. Then the earth roared. The great San Francisco earthquake, a vengeful, crushing blow, trapped for hours, the spirit's final warning. But the true terror waited below. The darkest, angriest spirits. Pushes, shoves, guttural growls, a form of pure malevolence. A palpable sense of anger, forever trapped, forever vengeful. Sarah Winchester passed, but her spirit remained. Footsteps, whispers, chilling cold spots. Evidence captured by the brave. Tales from the terrified. Was Sarah a victim driven mad by guilt, or a brilliant, terrifying architect? Whatever the truth, this house consumes. Some structures aren't built to keep things out. They're built to keep things in. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the terrifying and the timeless. If you survived this tale, be sure to haunt our like and subscribe buttons for more journeys into the dark. In the heart of Kentucky stands a monument to human suffering, a place whispered to be one of the most intensely haunted locations in America. This is Waverly Hills Sanatorium. The early 20th century saw a devastating plague sweep across the globe. Tuberculosis, an incurable disease that claimed countless lives, leaving a trail of fear and desperation. As the White Plague intensified, communities scrambled for solutions. Sanatoriums became the last hope, a place where the sick were sent, often never to return. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, originally a modest facility, rapidly expanded into a sprawling complex. Its doors opened wide, but for many it became a gateway to their final resting place. Early treatments were rudimentary, often more painful than helpful. Experimental surgeries, some barbaric by today's standards, became commonplace, pushing the boundaries of medical ethics. With limited understanding and desperate measures, the death toll at Waverly Hills began to soar. It's estimated that tens of thousands perished within its walls, their agony echoing through time. Patients, many of them children, faced immense suffering and isolation, their last breaths often taken far from family, leaving behind a profound emotional imprint on the very structure of the building. As deaths mounted, a grim necessity arose. The body chute, a hidden tunnel nearly 500 feet long, was constructed to discreetly transport the deceased from the sanatorium. This was a secret passageway designed to keep patients from seeing the constant stream of bodies leaving the facility. A psychological measure that ironically created a concentrated energy of sorrow. Legend says the spirits of those countless souls still linger within the chute, confused and disoriented, forever searching for a peaceful exit that never truly came. Among the many tragic stories, Room 502 holds a particularly dark tale. It's here that a head nurse, Mary Hill, met a gruesome end, forever staining the room with her despair. In 1928, Mary was found dead, hanging from a light fixture. Though officially ruled a suicide, many suspect foul play, whispering of a scandalous affair gone wrong. Years later, another nurse, a Miss Orville, plunged to her death from the same room's window. Was it another suicide, or something far more sinister at play? Visitors and paranormal investigators consistently report encounters with shadow people, dark, fleeting figures that dart through the periphery of your vision, seemingly observing from the gloom. Electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, are another common occurrence. Disembodied voices, often desperate or mournful, captured on recordings revealing the anguish of the past. From cries for help to chilling warnings, these voices offer a direct, terrifying link to the spirits trapped within Waverly's decaying walls. Are they communicating or simply reliving their pain? Many claim to have been physically touched, pushed, or even scratched by unseen forces. A chilling reminder that some spirits refuse to stay in the shadows, demanding their presence be known. These palpable experiences leave no doubt for many that Waverly Hills is truly alive with the restless energy of its past, making it a terrifying destination for the brave. Medical advancements eventually conquered tuberculosis, leading to the closure of Waverly Hills as a sanatorium in 1961. But its story was far from over. merely shifting its dark purpose. For a brief period, it operated as a geriatric facility, encountering its own share of neglect and alleged abuse. More lives were lost, adding to the already immense spiritual residue. Today, Waverly Hills stands as a decaying monument to forgotten lives, a place where the veil between worlds seems impossibly thin, and the past is very much alive. Countless visitors, paranormal investigators, and even former staff members have harrowing tales to tell. Experiences that defy explanation, cementing Waverly's reputation. But why does the haunting persist? Many believe the sheer volume of suffering, the intense emotions of pain, fear, and hopelessness became imprinted on the very fabric of the building. Each death, each cry, each unanswered prayer contributes to a potent spiritual energy that resonates through its hallways, forever binding the lost souls to this terrifying place. Waverly Hills Sanatorium stands as a chilling reminder of both human resilience and profound despair. A place where the past isn't just remembered, it's experienced. What truly lies within its walls? Perhaps only those brave enough to step inside will ever truly know. If you found this tale terrifying, make sure to subscribe to Terror Tales TV for more. In the quiet town of Fall River, Massachusetts, stands a house etched into American nightmares. A home where a gruesome crime unfolded and the echoes of rage still linger. August 4th, 1892. A stifling summer morning. The Borden household was a picture of rigid Victorian life, but beneath the surface, a cauldron of resentment simmered. Andrew Borden, a wealthy but frugal man, ruled with an iron fist. His daughters, Lizzie and Emma, often clashed with him, particularly over their inheritance and social standing. Tensions ran high. Family members complained of illness, suspected poisoning attempts, and the house itself felt heavy with unspoken bitterness. A storm was brewing, far more sinister than the summer heat. Just before 11 a.m., Andrew Borden was taking a nap on the downstairs sofa. What happened next would shock a nation and create one of history's most enduring murder mysteries. He was struck repeatedly with an axe-like weapon. 11 brutal blows to the head and face. The scene was utterly horrific. A bloodbath in the quiet parlor. Lizzie Borden later claimed she found him crying out for help. But in a house that seemed calm, a monstrous act of violence had been committed. Unbeknownst to Lizzie, or so she claimed, her stepmother, Abby Borden, lay dead upstairs. Her body was found later in the guest bedroom, even more brutally murdered. Abby had been struck 19 times, many of the blows delivered to the back of her head while she was facing down. An even more savage assault hidden for hours. 2 lives extinguished, mere feet apart in the same house, with a calculated, chilling precision. And only one person was ever truly suspected. All eyes turned to Lizzie Borden. Her calm demeanor, her seemingly convenient alibis, and the fact that she was the only one present painted a damning picture. The missing bloody dress, the axe head found in the basement without a handle, the bizarre burning of a blue dress days later, all pointed to her guilt. Despite overwhelming suspicion, Lizzie Borden was acquitted. The jury could not believe a respectable woman capable of such savagery. but the public and many to this day remained convinced of her guilt. The infamous children's rhyme cemented her name in history. It may not have been an actual 40 whacks, but the image of a cold-blooded killer lingered. The case officially remains unsolved. No one else was ever charged, leaving a void of justice. And a chilling question: who truly committed these heinous acts? A mystery surrounding the Borden murders, the brutal details, and the controversial acquittal has created a potent energy, ensuring the house never truly found peace. Visitors and paranormal investigators consistently report experiencing the presence of Abby Borden. Her spirit, it seems, remains trapped, reliving her final agonizing moments. EVPs capture her distressed voice, and guests often feel a sense of overwhelming sadness and pressure in the guest bedroom, a constant reminder of her tragic end. Some even report seeing her full-bodied apparition, a woman in period dress, confused and lost, unable to move on from the scene of her shocking murder. Andrew Borden's presence is often felt in the parlor, a heavy, judgmental energy sometimes accompanied by the chilling scent of cigar smoke or unexplained footsteps. The maid, Bridget Sullivan, who was also in the house, is said to manifest in the kitchen and basement. Her spirit is often felt as a quiet, protective, or startled presence. And what of Lizzie herself? While some believe her spirit moved on, others claim to feel her defiant energy or hear her disembodied laughter, particularly in her old bedroom. The sheer volume of unresolved trauma, the brutal nature of the crimes, and the burning question of who did it have deeply imprinted the house with powerful psychic energy. For over a century, the Lizzie Borden house has stood as a morbid fascination, a place where history's darkness is palpable and the dead demand attention. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the terrifying and the timeless. If you survived this tale, be sure to haunt our like and subscribe buttons for more journeys into the dark. In the vibrant heart of New Orleans, a mansion stands shrouded in a darkness far older than its bricks. This is the LaLaurie Mansion, a testament to beauty, wealth, and unspeakable evil. Born Marie Delphine McCarty, Madame LaLaurie was a celebrated figure in Creole society. Her charm and lavish balls were legendary, making her a queen of New Orleans elite. She married 3 times, each union adding to her wealth and status. The LaLaurie Mansion became her ultimate symbol of power, a beacon of refined taste and social standing. But even amidst her dazzling reputation, whispers began to circulate. Tales of cruelty to her slaves, of sudden disappearances, and a chilling aura around her opulent home. The early 19th century was a brutal time for slaves, but even by those standards, Madame LaLaurie's temper and severity were noted. Neighbors grew suspicious of the sounds coming from within. One infamous tale speaks of a young slave girl forced to brush LaLaurie's hair. In a moment of rage, LaLaurie chased her with a whip, leading to the girl's tragic fall from a balcony. The girl's death led to an investigation, a brief public outcry, and LaLaurie being fined. But the incident only intensified the chilling feeling that something far darker lay hidden. On April 10th, 1834, the mansion erupted in flames. A kitchen fire reportedly started by the cook, a slave chained to the stove, forced rescuers into the burning building. As neighbors and firemen battled the blaze, they discovered a locked room on the 3rd floor. What they found inside transcended mere cruelty and plunged into pure nightmare. More than a dozen slaves were found, mutilated, chained, and subjected to unimaginable torture, their bodies disfigured, their minds broken. A scene of grotesque, unspeakable suffering. Some were found with their bones broken and reset in unnatural positions, others with their mouths sewn shut. One woman was in a cage, her limbs severed, her eyes gouged out. The barbarity uncovered sent shockwaves through New Orleans. This wasn't punishment, it was sadistic experimentation, a perverse chamber of medical and psychological torment. The city erupted in outrage. A mob stormed the mansion, tearing it apart, seeking vengeance. But Madame Lalaurie, ever cunning, managed to escape the fury. The mob was relentless, fueled by the unimaginable atrocities. They destroyed the mansion, but Lalaurie, with the aid of a carriage, slipped away under the cover of chaos. She was never truly brought to justice for her crimes. Some legends claim she died violently, others that she lived out her days in France. Her final fate remains shrouded in mystery. But the ghosts of her victims, those who suffered the unimaginable, were left behind, trapped within the very walls that witnessed their torment, forever screaming for justice. The mansion was eventually rebuilt, but its dark reputation clung to it like a shroud. No matter who owned it, the property seemed cursed, attracting misfortune and terror. Subsequent owners reported terrifying activity, disembodied screams, chains rattling, shadowy figures appearing and vanishing. The spirits of Lalaurie's victims refused to be silenced. One owner was even reportedly driven mad by the incessant, violent paranormal activity, eventually abandoning the property in terror, unable to escape the lingering despair. Today, the Lalaurie mansion is considered one of America's most intensely haunted locations. Every single room seems to hold a residual energy of torment. Paranormal investigators have captured countless EVPs, disembodied voices crying out in pain, rattling chains, and the terrifying sounds of struggling, echoing the 1834 horrors. Visitors often report physical assaults, shoves, scratches, hair pulled. Some have even collapsed from the overwhelming feelings of dread and terror, claiming to feel a presence attempting to possess them. The spirits within the Lalaurie mansion are not playful. They are the souls of the utterly violated, their agony so profound it has been etched into the very fabric of the building. They are forever bound to the place of their torment, endlessly replaying their suffering, screaming for a justice that Madame Lalaurie never faced in life. The Lalaurie mansion stands as a chilling monument to human cruelty and the enduring power of tormented souls, a place where the screams truly never end. The past is not silent here. We've used every tool available to pull the faces of the tormented from the darkness of history, and they are watching. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the terrifying and the timeless. If you survived this tale, be sure to haunt our like and subscribe buttons for more journeys into the dark.